want to extend my heartfelt condolences for your loss at WrestleMania. To Paul Bearer, you will always be perfect. 20-0. But to everybody else, you're going to be 20-1.
Welcome to Last Match Standing, the podcast where we review, relive, and rank the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time. As always, I'm Spencer.
I'm the best in the world.
And my name is Paul Heyman. Not really, I'm Landon.
Hey guys, it's good to see you. It's good to hear from you. Welcome to episode 19. So one of our last episodes of season 1 of Last Match Standing, and we want to do a quick shout out to our first round of patrons. Super excited to have the support from these guys. And listen, they've got great names. They do. Plashy Joshi. He's the man. Genevieve Robichaux. Wonderful. Ashley Clements. Brandon Monroe. Anthony Smith. Kenneth Houston. Our friend Benjamin Emerson. But we also have, we're graced with the support of Steamed Ham Champion. I wonder if he's got a belt.
Finally, the Steamed Ham Champion is back.
Yeah, here he is. Mr. Dylan Haggett. We have champions following us. That's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, everyone who's following us is also a champion of Liechtenstein.
That's true. You know what they also are? They are all Triple H's dad.
That's true.
It's
very impressive.
Yeah.
What you're saying is they have PhDs in economics?
That's exactly what we're saying.
A lot of people have slept with Triple H's mom.
Oh, there it is.
Apparently at the same time.
Yeah. And they all won awards for it. They all won a Slammy.
They did it on their own.
Yeah, that's super appreciative for all of those. And speaking of those patrons, we actually have a couple of email moments that we got this week, and Landon's got one for us now.
Yeah, we got an awesome email from Plashy Joshi talking about last week's episode, the TNA Unbreakable 2005 match. Plashy Joshi writes, greetings from your second patron backer, as he was.
Oh, yeah.
Just something that didn't really get mentioned in the Unbreakable review is how the match was really a gateway, not only to TNA, but to watching indie wrestling as a whole. This is the match that showed a 12-year-old Aussie kid that there was wrestling outside of WWE. And hey, me too, bud. And if it wasn't for this match, you could argue that no indie star would have gotten over in WWE. Still a great review. Looking forward to see what's next. Just as long as there is at least one Omega Okada match.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yeah, I think that's probably in our future. Sincerely, Plashy Joshi. Hey, man, thanks so much for writing in. That was excellent.
That's awesome. He's so right about being a gateway match.
It is.
Because I think we've all said it, that when you think about TNA, you think about AJ Styles.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you think about AJ Styles in TNA, this is the match you think of more often than not. So this is a match kind of exactly like Josh says, that it introduced you to a whole new brand of wrestling, and it stands the test of time, which is really awesome. But we also have one other, patron interaction with an email, and wouldn't you know it, it's the Steamed Ham Champ, Dylan Haggett. What did he say, Paul?
All right, so we've name dropped Meltzer maybe 3 or 4 times on here. It's usually all in in good fun. Honestly, I forget how many times I said it, but I just love this email. Dave Meltzer's star ratings mean about as much as week-old dog shite.
Thank you, Steamed Ham, for your.
My initial reaction was, wait, does he know that we're taking the piss out of Meltzer? And then I reread it. Oh, yeah, he knows. Okay. Because the next one is like, oh, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate the show.
Someone had to say it.
Yeah, they did.
And I appreciate that it was him.
Yeah, the Steamed Ham Champ of all people. I really appreciate it.
All I got to say is, remember, we didn't say that.
Champ said it.
Yes, the Steamed Ham Champion said it, not us.
If you would like to interact with us, would like to email us, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You can do that at lastmatchstanding@gmail.com. Of course, also following us on Twitter gets you access to our Twitter polls where we help get our help from you deciding in what will be the matches on the 100 greatest matches list of all time that we are doing. And that's at Last Match Cast on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook the same way. And you can also rank all of our matches yourself on ranker.com/last match standing, which is a lot of fun. It's really interesting watching that ranker list as we keep going. And it gets more and more interesting.
You know what match is not last right now?
What's that?
Our number one match, Triple H versus
Heyo.
Shawn Michaels. Just wanted to say, it's not last. It's number 17.
Well, here's what you've done now. Here's what you've done.
I give it a week.
Yes, and that's because now that we've mentioned it, there's a certain villain that's going to go out and make sure that it absolutely finds its way to the bottom.
And you know what's found its way to the top?
Must be Angle McMahon.
Yes, totally. Surprisingly, Brett and Owen. I'm shocked by that.
Brett and Owen, our number one on Ranker.
Yeah. Super curious about that. Super fun. And
Dethroning the longtime number one Bret Hart and Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting happenings. But I'm sorry, Spencer, I'm cutting you off.
No, you're totally fine. I was just going to say that as season 1 comes to an end, the ranker is fascinating to look at. We have this match and then one more match to do for season number 1, and then we're going to have a really cool season 1 recap for you guys as well. That will help get us ready as a reset towards season number 2. But first things first, we have to talk about one of the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time.
As voted on by our Twitter followers.
That's absolutely right.
And patrons.
Absolutely, yeah. Patrons get an extra vote, which is great. But we have decided, based on all of everyone else's feedback, that match number 19 to enter our list of the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time comes to you from April 7th, 2013, MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
I thought it was in New York.
Well, you know how it goes. WrestleMania 29.
Big time.
That was a few WrestleManias prior.
Was it really?
Big time was 22.
What was the song for this one?
This was, WrestleMania 29. Had we hit the Flow Rida phase yet?
Yes.
I think so. Was it? No, my house was 32. So 29.
If you remember what 29 was, send us a voice clip and we'll play it on the next episode.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, of you singing it. Yeah, if you're singing it, even better. We'll totally play it. But WrestleMania 29, CM Punk versus The Streak and The Undertaker.
CM Punk.
First time on the list.
First time on the list.
Very polarizing individual.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah, that's an understatement. That's for sure. But this is our first streak match on the list as well. So a lot of really, really cool first as far as making it onto this show, but enough story to go around for all of us for sure.
How about a last? This
Yeah.
is the last WrestleMania match for CM Punk.
Yes, it is.
It's the last time that The Undertaker successfully defends the streak as well.
Spoilers.
I mean, yeah, come on. I mean,
If you're listening to this, my guess is you've watched this match before.
and my guess is that you know that the streak doesn't last forever, unfortunately. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic for another day.
So we were there. We were there at WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, WrestleMania 30 when the streak ended, we were absolutely there.
It ended in complete silence, which is not what happens if you watch it on the network.
And I don't think it's what they wanted. I mean, you think about, I had a conversation with Hope earlier this week about what is good heat and what is bad heat. And that was not good heat.
I don't know, man. People talk about it's going to be one of the most talked about moments. And
You want people to be so angry.
They weren't, though. They were just stunned.
Silence.
and I think that's okay. I think the anger came. I for me being there, I have never been anywhere where there's 70,000 plus people and you can hear a pin drop.
Oh, yeah.
It was totally surreal. Like I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Because we all thought it was a botch.
Right. We were like, oh, there goes Chad Patton. He's done. Like he lost his
everybody
job.
thought it was a botch until the 21 and 1 went up. And we're like, oh, shit, that wasn't a botch. This is legit. Because Heyman was like, he looked around. Oh, my God,
you did it, Brock! You did it!
But it took him a good 30 seconds for him to react. He just looked like he didn't know. Like nobody told him how the match was going to end.
It was one of the craziest moments I've ever been in, but you know, and you're going to be able to argue that forever if you think it was a good idea or not. I think most people don't love that it happened, but as far as the reaction that it got, you know, you can debate back and forth on how they liked it. But before we ever got to that match, we had to have this one, and this is coming at an interesting time in both of these men's careers.
Very interesting time.
You know, for the Undertaker, he just finished at WrestleMania 28 the end of an era, and
We all thought he was done.
we thought that was it. And so this is kind of, when I think about the Undertaker's WrestleMania life, I think of it in several different parts, and this is sort of the last part, where the last part begins, where it's the post Triple H and Shawn Michaels feuds. And you didn't know what you were going to get. You didn't think that you were going to get him at WrestleMania 29, but you do, and you get it from a CM Punk who just lost his 434-day reign as WWE champion to The Rock to set up twice in a lifetime.
Twice in a lifetime. Man, we could talk about that.
Well, they never officially called it that, but that's what the fans have called it.
You know what I really appreciated? Seeing the former WWE logo.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
It was wonderful seeing that. I mean, because WrestleMania 29 sort of feels like present day product as far as like camera quality and the way some of the storylines were, not really hitting as well as they should have. This one was probably the best storyline that they'd had in decades.
It was really good.
But it was nice seeing that logo. I mean, I feel like it really, what was it, after the network launched, after WrestleMania 30, they transitioned to the new logo.
Long.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the new belt, I guess. Whenever The Rock wins it, he changes it or something like that.
Yeah, The Rock wins. He changes the belt, and we only get that belt for a few months before because it was the logo belt.
The logo changes,
but the logo changes, so we have a new belt. It's the same thing.
We got the new belt. I want to say, because I remember Cena and Orton had a match where they unified the belts, and then briefly there were two belts. And they were unified, and then Brock was the person that had the unified belt, and he had that belt until WrestleMania 31.
Yeah, so it's just the way it feels. I mean, I think WrestleMania 29. When I think back to 29, I think it's not a good show. I think back as that one being, sort of like the low bar for these most recent WrestleManias.
Hey, we had the debut of Fandango.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Against Chris Jericho. And that was actually a pretty good match.
It was.
Yeah.
It was solid.
But that match was a rib on Chris Jericho.
And how did that work for Fandango's career?
He fell flat in his fucking arse.
Yeah.
Literally. Guillotine leg drop was his finish, and everybody told him not to do it.
Fell on his head. I think it was Kenny Dykstra had that move.
Yeah, he did.
The guillotine leg drop from the top rope. Mm-hmm. And I thought he made it look really good.
He did.
Whatever happened to that guy?
Kenny Dykstra? He came back for a hot minute. Remember that?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, he came back.
There's a lot of conflicting stories about what happened to Kenny Dykstra, but that's for a different podcast.
Yeah. So, when I think back to WrestleMania 29, I don't think back fondly, except for this match.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except for this match. This match, I think back and just go, what a story, what a couple of characters, and it was by far, in my opinion, the best match of the night.
I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, according to Punk, that's what everybody told him backstage. Everyone said, "Oh man, that should have gone on last. That was the best match of the night." And in the context of him telling that story, he was like, "All right, cool, great, but okay, then why wasn't it the last match? Why wasn't that the main event?" And then that was.
Well, I mean, that was the whole issue that Punk had to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. Is that the WWE Championship, when he had it, wasn't the main event, and he didn't get to be the main event
until he lost it.
Right.
To The Rock.
So, how do we feel about this match coming right as we're all mourning the loss of Paul Bearer?
Yeah, so this is just, it's fascinating. I mean,
I agree.
Typically speaking, when you think about some of the really interesting storylines in wrestling, not just in wrestling, right? Not just WWE, wrestling in general. When you think about some of the most compelling storylines, it's the ones that blur that line between reality and fiction. And this was a whole lot of reality.
And a little bit of goofiness.
A little bit, for sure.
I don't know. I thought the goofiness kind of like balanced it so it didn't feel like...
I think it needed to be there. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, this feud started the night they held the tribute for William Moody, a.k.a. Paul Bearer. Everyone does their normal, like, we're going to ring the bell 10 times. Undertaker comes out to the ring. And as he's in the middle
which
of
is a beautiful
pose,
moment. It's a beautiful
it is.
moment. You know, they got the urn, which the symbolism of the urn is just fantastic throughout this entire feud. But just as a standalone moment where Undertaker's coming out to pay tribute,
and he bows, and as he's dropping to the knee, what's Punk doing out here? Undertaker, I want to extend my deepest condolences for your loss at WrestleMania. And then Heyman's like, it's so funny, Phil. You're the best. I love you.
what a line.
It's really well done.
Oh, man. What a line. I want to extend my heartfelt condolences for your loss at WrestleMania. Oh, God.
What an ass.
Oh, man. And this is like a week or two after him and Punk and John Cena had, my opinion, their best match, which is like, I refer to it as the pile driver on Raw match.
Yeah, it's their number one contender match.
It's so good.
It's fantastic. But Punk goes on to say, to Paul Bearer, you'll always be perfect. 20-0. But to everybody else, you'll be 20-1.
Damn.
Like the things he would do and say on television were like, surely they're not. Oh, okay, they went there. I think like my favorite scene is after he steals the urn. There's a shot of him in the back and he's tossing it up like a baseball. And he's like, see this? It's everything to you. It means nothing to me. He's like, I am the one in 20 and one. Oh shit! And he drops it.
Well, and I do remember, like pretty much anytime we see Punk with the urn, he's like playing with it.
Yes,
right.
And it's such a nice little character bit, and he does it for like
weeks.
A good while.
But I think for me, and I think for everybody who remembers the feud the most, the moment where Undertaker's in the middle of the ring and he's like, "This is so disrespectful. How dare you, like, besmirch the memory of Paul Bearer?" And you hear, "Oh yes!" Lights go out, and Paul Heyman comes out dressed like Paul Bearer.
See,
with the druids.
That was where
Here it comes.
It went a little too far for me.
I disagree. That's not where it goes too far.
Well, yeah, it's coming.
Where it goes too far is when Undertaker comes out and starts attacking the druids, and then Punk blindsides him and then pours the ashes on him. That is the moment where I think it went too far.
See, and for me, I disagree. I think that part is goofy. Like, no one does that. Come
he
on.
pours the ashes on him and then smears them all over his chest.
That I was fine with that part. The dressing up as someone who just died, and
at that point it had been like a month, but I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's just, you don't take someone's likeness like that while we're still mourning them.
Well, it was obvious. I'm not going to defend him dressing up as him, but whatever.
What was obvious?
It was obviously not. It was obviously Paul Heyman just wearing a mustache and a wig.
Right.
He didn't go out of his way to look too much like Paul Bearer.
He did though. Like it's like dressing up as an Indian chief for Halloween. Like, you just don't do that nowadays.
That's a little different, but we're not going to defend race politics on our show.
Okay.
This is what?
We didn't go there. We didn't go there.
We're not a political show. We're strictly a sports entertainment podcast.
Sports entertainment. Thank you. That's a politically correct statement.
I know. I probably just pissed him off. We're a pro wrestling podcast.
How great is heel CM Punk?
Oh man.
Oh, he's the best.
Literally the best.
Yeah.
Like this is like a month after he like has some of the best promos of his career in the feud with The Rock. Everyone remembers when you step into the ring with me, you're going to find out that your arms are just too short to box with God. It's like,
damn.
It's one of my favorite promos. I still watch it all the time. It's like 28 minutes.
CM Punk does have some great promos that are with The Undertaker here. Undertaker, who is not known for his great promos, has a really good clapback.
He does.
And he says, the streak may come to an end, but you will never live to talk about it. And I love it because it's selling the match. Mm-hmm. It's like, look, we all know I'm getting up in age. Maybe I am going to be 20-1, but I'm going to go down swinging.
But this is personal.
Yes. Like he's not fighting to preserve the streak. He's fighting for the honor of his fallen comrade.
And it just sold how this was going to be a hell of a match.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just when you throw that whole video package together, because it was weeks and weeks of this stuff happening, and it was a lot of CM Punk throwing that urn around, and a lot of Undertaker, fans wanting Taker to really get his hands on CM Punk, and he never really did going into WrestleMania. So it made it even more like, can't wait to see him.
I think that the thing was, even though CM Punk had turned heel and was heel from what was it, Raw 1000, pretty much through his return at I think Extreme Rules, he was this beloved babyface and hero. Even when he turned heel, people cheered for him because he was so justified in why he turned heel that he had to do this to get heel heat. Because if he had just walked up like, hey, Undertaker, you and me, Mania, he was going to get cheered because he was still like the most popular person in the company at this point. We can argue that, but he was the most popular guy in the company, even though he was this dastardly heel. Because when The Rock came back 2011, 2012, fans loved him. By the time we get to WrestleMania 29, he's not getting a lot of love from the fans anymore because they're like, oh, wait a minute, he's going to show up, do his 2 or 3 matches, and leave. And fans didn't like that. So they were cheering Punk because, surely he's going to beat this part-time champion who's going to leave, and then we'll have our guy back, and then he doesn't get to do that. So he had a lot of bitter, long-term fans that were going to cheer him no matter what he did.
And so we get this match, which easily could have gone on as the main event of WrestleMania 29.
Oh yeah.
So what I think the main event that year actually was The Rock versus John Cena, which
The Rock and John Cena I'm going to do my finish move and I'm going to tear 3 muscles, and so we're just going to do our finishers for 10 minutes.
And it's disappointing because you think of what could have been had they given this match the time that they would have allotted to it as a main event match. Yeah. And I think that may have had a lot to do with Punk's frustration and why he left the WWE the following January.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we and this is a part of why this match is special, is because it is the last Mania match for Punk, because he doesn't last much longer.
No, he's 8 months and he's gone.
This is a tale of 2 characters, 2 of the very best characters to ever be in WWE. I mean, truly. But to kind of reset it for you, we are in MetLife Stadium. It's a beautiful set. It's a beautiful stage with the bridge. For all intents and purposes, this WrestleMania had a chance to be incredible. With how grand it was, with the set, the whole thing, it looked great. The presentation was beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Even down to the name graphics when their names display on the screen, because even on those, they're kind of going across the bridge and there's a reflection of the letters in the water. It's that detail.
I know, it was so
right?
cool.
It's really, really cool. and I love, one of my favorite things every year when WrestleMania comes around is how they're going to show the matchups. How are their names going to be, what fonts are they going to be, and how are they going to get pictured? Because I think it's really cool, and I love the way they present it sometimes. And this WrestleMania 29 is awesome. It's awesome. Just down to the script that CM Punk and Undertaker's names are in when it's picturing their faces for the matchup. Now, Mania in general in WrestleMania 29 did not live up to that in any way, shape, or form. But this match did. And we've got Michael Cole, JBL, and Jerry Lawler on commentary.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
that's probably the only time we're going to talk about him. So
yeah, and I think this is our first Mike Chioda as the referee match.
No way.
I think you might be right.
Senior referee Mike Chioda hasn't appeared on our podcast yet.
To the best of my knowledge, no.
No, I really don't think so.
The only referee I can recall getting a chant from the audience.
He does.
Yeah. Maybe Trish Lita, was that Chioda? Or that might have been Chad Patton. No. Doan, maybe? I don't remember. This could be the first one, though.
Yeah, we get Mike Chioda, but we also get I'm sorry, we also get Fuck You Hebner.
Yeah.
We do get that. I forgot about that.
I mean,
oh, it's amazing.
it really, really is.
You know who else is amazing? In Living Color.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm saying this right now. This is the best example of live music at a WrestleMania. They have tried this so many times and it's just not worked. But when Justin Roberts says, "Ladies and gentlemen, New York's own Living Color."
You think it's better than I am the game, you're the game, I'm the game.
Change the game, you're gonna be the game. You're gonna change your name. You're gonna die the game.
Game.
We're gonna kick your ass. Yeah, it's much better than that.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
I do just briefly want to point out, Paul, that your Justin Roberts was pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So was your Lemmy.
Well, yours is pretty good too. So
Yeah. I really did love Living Color here, though. First of all, their song, just in general, Cult of Personality, was when I think it's just one of the most perfect songs that's ever been for a wrestler. Like, it just fit the bill. I mean,
it really did.
it's perfect. And so he comes out, CM Punk, and he's got Living Color, and they sound amazing, by the way. They sound so good. Punk is wearing, and this is something that he did throughout his career, but he does it here too, is he's wearing the Undertaker's colors.
Real. Oh my God!
Yes.
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's wearing black, gray, and purple.
Yeah, he's wearing the Undertaker's colors, and he
my
did
God.
that throughout his career, and not necessarily wearing his opponent's colors, but wearing different, kind of paying homage to other people.
And that makes so much sense
Yeah.
because from the beginning of the build-up, Punk is very vocal about trying to get into the Undertaker's head, playing his own game. And I think it's interesting. Punk comes out first. And did you notice what happens when Undertaker comes out second? What's the whole point of the Undertaker's entrance?
You're supposed to.
It's supposed to be intimidating. And they cut to Punk.
He's just
As
standing
soon
there.
No.
He is-
Punk.
The
is
first
trying-
gong.
The first gong hits, and Punk is terrified. He's trying to psych himself up. Like, you can see him, like, hitting him. Like, you
See,
can
I don't get
visibly-
terrified. I don't get terrified.
Okay, maybe not terrified, but he's trying to psych himself up. Like, you can see he's getting nervous.
But he was not showing it.
I don't get nervous from it.
Okay,
though.
what did you get? Because that's the first thing that I got.
Because when I watch it, the first gong hits, and normally when that gong hits, you see the opponent go in one of two ways mostly, either serious concern or they are trying to psych themselves up.
That's what
because
yeah.
they are. But to me, CM Punk is so brash and so cocky this entire time
yeah.
that when that first gong hits and he just screams, "Yeah!" and that's what he's doing. He's just yelling.
Exactly.
It doesn't
That's what it
seem like
was.
psyching up to me. It seems like let's fucking go.
Yeah, let's go.
Maybe that's what it is. I hear the gong. I hear the yeah. And for me, I'm interpreting that because I'm so used to interpreting Undertaker's interest as being intimidating. I'm interpreting that as that's how Punk reacts
Pretty much.
when he's intimidated.
But there is one thing you forgot to mention. Return to the podcast. That fan in the green shirt and a tan hat, front row center on the hard cam, which might be the first chronological sighting of this fan.
But it glows in the dark too,
It does go in the dark.
which is pretty interesting. But I think because we are so used to the heel sometimes coming off as that kind of scared character in that
he's
moment,
like-
it is supernatural to think that way about Punk's reaction. And maybe that is what it was supposed to be. But to me, it comes off as he's ready to go.
Yes.
And you definitely get it comes across that he's ready to go with the I'm clobbering time. It's clobbering time. Like it
I
he
love it
definitely has that vibe.
He gets down, ruffles the ground, and then Heyman walks up and puts the watch in his hand, taps at it, and then he shouts his clap.
Once Taker's in the ring and he's about to take the hood off to, whatever. Once Taker's in the ring,
They are tossing the urn.
they're CM Punk and Heyman are tossing the urn back and forth, and
love
CM
that.
Punk is saying, you can hear him yell at the Undertaker who's in the ring, "You mad? You mad?" And it's just like, what? He's gonna kill you. Like, what do you? He's going to kill you. But I have to tell you this: This is the single greatest. You can at me if you want to. The single greatest Undertaker entrance of all time.
Oh yeah.
Get away from me if you think otherwise. WrestleMania 20 was great.
And
we've talked about
from the light, and there's like all the undead souls reaching out to him. It's
we talked about
so
coming in on the buggy at the Royal Rumble. We talked about that
on the cart.
Yeah, the buggy. So we've talked about, and there's a million examples of awesome Undertaker entrances. This is the best one.
I'm so glad you mentioned this. Have you ever wondered who those zombie hands were?
Is it Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, and Sasha Banks?
No. But I do have a list of very interesting names that
Ooh,
were.
This is fascinating. I didn't know.
These zombie games.
I'm so ready.
The zombie hands. Byron Saxon,
Okay.
Connor and Victor from the Ascension,
Really?
Makes sense.
Sami Zayn,
Okay.
Shut up.
Rusev,
Holy shit.
Luke Harper.
Is this
Oh
true?
Yeah.
man.
I have a picture. I'll post the picture in the show notes or on Twitter or something.
Yeah,
when this
yeah.
episode
You
drops.
have to do this. Yeah.
And Adam Rose.
Well, that one makes sense for sure.
Among others. There were a couple other guys that I was like, is that Cassius Ohno? I wasn't 100% sure. But I'll post it.
Oh, I have
and-
got
and
to see this.
You guys can see it.
That's fantastic.
It's crazy.
I mean, you could talk all day long about the symbolism and about what it means, but when Undertaker steps up, because he's not coming out, he's stepping up
Yeah. He like steps out of the grave
from the underworld ish, right?
He's just like reaching up to. It's
And they're
so
reaching up.
Cool.
It's Hades-esque, you know,
I
when
just
you
love
think
it
about
because-
Hades and Hercules.
And it's so simple.
Oh
It's
my
just
God, I love it.
people in morph suits and lights. It's so simple, but it's so effective, and it gets across his character. And they don't have to do the long drawn out. We're gonna pan every coffin of every previous victim. Don't mention the big boss man because he's dead. But keep going, mentioning all of them. Or oh wait a minute, somebody ran out in front of the camera. Oh shit! No, stop. Okay, now I'll go back out there. No. He steps out from the grave. Perfect. And I love the hood he's got on. I like it because when you look at the back of it, it looks like it's got like demonic like bones all over it.
Yeah, Aleister Black-esque,
Oh,
kind of
very
like
cool.
his gear right now.
And Taker has the look on his face. He has the look of a father set to avenge the murder of his children.
You know what I think about when I think about these entrances? I was trying to think about, man, why do I love them so much? They're together, like combined. This is one of my favorite ever set of combined entrances for a
Oh,
match.
that's great.
Like it's so good, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Why I think this is such a great pair.
Lillian Garcia announces them out.
No,
That's the cherry on top for me.
because she doesn't.
Oh, I totally thought she did.
It's Justin Roberts.
Is it really?
It is. Yeah,
Lillian Garcia
she's there.
is there.
Yeah, she's there, but she
She
doesn't
sang
announce
the
this match.
national anthem.
But she was there. Like I saw her during this match.
I'm sure
still there.
She might have announced some other matches, but it was Justin Roberts. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Sorry.
No, it's
What?
totally fine.
That would have been the cherry on top for me, but apparently it didn't even happen.
I do love her, but for me, I realized that you don't hear the commentary almost at all. There's a little bit once CM Punk is in the lights are on. Once he's in the ring and the Living Color song ends, there's a couple of words said, and then when Undertaker brings up the lights, as he always does when he's standing on the steps, then they talk a couple more times. But other than that, they are silent.
Yeah, they're quiet.
You hear Living Color play Punk down the aisle, and you just watch the Undertaker come down.
Because when you talk over an entrance, it makes it seem like it doesn't matter. These guys matter. Mm-hmm. Their entrances matter because they start telling the story as soon as they walk out from Gorilla.
Oh,
Well,
exactly.
and I think that's the difference maker is that other entrances, sometimes you don't get that story. And so the commentary feels like they have to tell you the story as they walk down the aisle. But these guys, no words necessary. You know what's about to happen.
Oh yeah, you know. And I just gotta say, as Taker, the lights come back up. First off, that fucking pyro,
Yeah.
that was awesome. 2, Michael Strahan sighting, number 1.
What?
He's sitting right behind the Spanish commentary team.
Well, right before this match, right before they show the promo or the video package, I guess, right before this match, they shout out the armed forces members that are there, and then they shout out, "Oh, look!" You know, they always do. Look at our celebrities, and one of them was Michael Strahan. So like
Yeah,
right
he's-
before
he's
this match,
right behind the commentary team. And what I like about it is a lot of times they'll do that, and then the celebrities will leave.
right?
But you can see him a couple of times when they do like their crowd pen. He's there. He's clearly he loves wrestling, so he's obviously just there because he's like, fuck it, I live in New York. I'm gonna go.
So we are set 20-0 versus the best in the world, and going into this match, no one really expected to get another Undertaker streak match. So
we didn't. Like I was resigned to believe that after the whole point of end of an era was that him and Trips were done.
And technically the two of them were until Money later. But
because they had their Triple H Undertaker for the last time ever at Super Showdown last year. Mm-hmm. And then like 2 months later, DX reunites.
And they have a tag.
And
The last time ever. Again.
And what I referred to as Kane's mask on a pole match. Because Shawn Michaels, to win the match, you have to let Kane climb the top rope and pull his mask off. How the fuck does that happen?
Well, it's neither here nor there.
It was funny, but I still want to know how the hell that happened.
Yeah. It's just, did you think going into
Do
this
I need
match,
to bring dollar bills to see this match?
Apparently.
do you think going into this match, or did you think going into this match, that CM Punk had a chance to break the streak?
Honestly, I did. The way they built this matchup was so personal.
I thought there was a chance because I knew that if Undertaker was going to retire for good,
He was going to lose.
you go out on your back.
Yeah.
So I knew one of these years the streak would be broken. I really thought the streak would be broken, and it would be his last match, and it would be passing the torch.
There's a lot of like 20-1 signs in that crowd. A lot of them.
There is. And when this match starts, the crowd is, as hot as they are the whole night.
Like this crowd had me and everybody else convinced that this was a good show because that crowd gave them so much and they did not. This match earns it.
Yeah.
And there's so many close calls where you just hear, oh God, was it like 78,000 lose their minds? It's like, yeah, every single time there's a near fall in this match. It's great.
I love that there's moments in the early going where half the crowd's chanting CM Punk, half the crowd's chanting Undertaker. They're split. But then JBL says 80,000 people are chanting for the Undertaker.
Because it goes,
they're 50-50 the whole
I was
time.
like, what are you talking about?
CM Punk.
80,000.
But I just love because like there is no beer on the bush. That bell rings and they're like immediately like, okay, let's do this. Let's go.
Well, and that just says Taker's ready to get his hands on Punk, and Punk's ready to prove himself.
Punk gets
that's
it
what
right
they're
in his
saying.
face and slaps him. And I'm like, oh, and then the corner, and he just slaps him again. He goes, come on! And I'm like, yes! It's like they don't waste any fucking time in this match.
Right. So Punk gets a couple slaps in, and then he gets a boot to the face. And that's when you're thinking, oh.
I'm
Here
pretty
we
sure
go.
there was a group of fans. All right, he's just going to kill him in like 10 seconds. And then, all right, chokes. Oh, no, not choke slam. More like a savate kick. Jesus Christ. And they just go hell for leather right away. I love it. I will not be objective. I love it.
You know who's not going to get any credit in this match? Who should? That's first time, last match standing appearance, Mike Chioda.
Yeah.
You know why I'm going to give him some credit right now? Because he is completely absurd in this contest.
He really is.
His facial expression.
Well, part of it's that. The other part of it is he gets so creative in how he's going to make sure he doesn't count out CM Punk and The Undertaker. So there's one.
That's a good point.
So pretty early on after the slaps and after the boot to the face, it was actually right after the boot to the face, Undertaker tosses CM Punk out of the ring. And so they go out of the ring, and they're out there forever and a day.
They really are. But I love it because we immediately get your favorite thing ever, barricade spots.
Boo, boo.
Or as I called it, Spencer's 2K20 strategy.
Absolutely. But after that, right after that, they're going towards the announce table, and Mike Chioda's like, I'm going to count you out. He's in the ring. But then he gets out of the ring, and he's on the side of the announce tables and decides to turn his back to the Undertaker and CM Punk and walk around the side of the ring just to get into Paul Heyman's face to tell him not to do I don't know what, because Heyman wasn't doing anything. He was just standing there talking.
He was just standing there.
Heyman wasn't even by the steps. He was just standing there.
Like Chioda's like, what could be a distraction? Oh, Heyman's a distraction.
Yeah, well, then you walk over there and
Heyman's
berate
like,
him.
I didn't do anything. I'm not doing anything. As we get the patented leg drop, and it's beautiful. Like, this is at a point now when I see Undertaker do that leg drop, I'm like, yeah, go get him, dead man. when I saw him do it in 2019, I'm like, oh, Mark, please.
Yeah, every time I see him do it, I'm like,
Mark, please. Just, I love you. Please stop wrestling.
Please stop wrestling. But at this point, you still feel like Undertaker can go. This is really the last time you think that, I think.
no, actually, I feel like the last couple of times we've seen him, he's looked better
Than that little stretch.
Than a little stretch he had before that.
Yeah, that's true. And then also, the Brock Lesnar series that he has is pretty good. At least
WrestleMania 30 wasn't very good.
Well,
but,
no, not that one, but the
SummerSlam
vengeance for
2015,
those.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
That's good
that
stuff.
match, I forgot how good that match. I rewatched it. Pissed me off because it's on YouTube, so it goes into black and white whenever they get color. But I remember that. I didn't remember how good that matchup was. So like, we may have to consider that one.
So at this point in 2013, Undertaker still the best striker ever in the game, right? That's what's always said. And he gets Punk in the ring, and he goes for old school, as per usual. And Punk
Very deep arm drag.
throws him off the top rope.
And for some reason, I don't know why I thought about this, but the first thing that popped in my head was CM Punk just jerked The Undertaker off the top rope.
Oh, no.
Oh, that happened on more than one occasion, but it's a Jim Ross flub. One time,
This just became a very different podcast.
China just jerked Triple H off the top rope. That's the first thing that popped into my head when that happened. I'm like, oh, maybe it's a good thing that Jim Ross is on commentary for this
Maybe
match.
so.
But we get the I'm cold sign, front row.
Yeah, that's good. That's always good. It was probably cold for sure. But CM Punk, after he reverses old school, does something that you rarely see. And he does old school himself to The Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
And his reaction afterwards is just superb. He's so proud of himself.
The streak is something that's captivated people for so long that it essentially became the holy grail of pro wrestling.
Oh, no doubt.
So seeing CM Punk get up on the top rope and perform old school after The Undertaker failed to do so.
Exactly.
Just kind of, you see this, like, it's going through his head. It's just like, this thing that 20 people have tried to do before me.
Nobody's hit it.
And he maintains his confidence.
The whole time.
I stuff because he hits that, and then he hits this Russian leg sweep, and then there's a 2 count. And you can hear him and go, that was a 2 count. You're 1 second away. You're getting closer. You're almost there. And he puts a key lock in. I'm like, what are you doing a key lock for? Just Heyman shouting, that was a 2 count.
But in the key lock, you can hear CM Punk yell, "Where's Paul Bearer now?" So he doesn't stop the whole time. And to your point, Landon, about the streak, Michael Cole, he says if CM Punk wins tonight, he can punch his ticket to the WWE Hall of Fame. Because that's how big a deal it is.
Yeah, it would be.
Breaking the streak, that's how big a deal it would have been.
Speaking of breaking streaks, Undertaker breaks that key lock, and then he throws Punk in the corner. I'm like, here we go. And I'm going to quote Taz here. Undertaker throwing soup bones there, Cole. Because he throws some fucking strikes in that corner. My God.
The moment there where Undertaker is just lighting Punk up. He's kind of catching up, and he's making his way back into the match, and Punk gets out of the ring. Taker throws Punk out of the ring, and you have this moment where Punk is outside in front of the announce tables, and Taker is in the ring by the rope nearest him, and Taker kind of walks towards the middle of the ring, looks out the other side of the ring, and walks back. When he does that, you can see that he's setting up for the old Undertaker dive out of the ring,
yeah.
which is terrifying, always. And as he runs, you can hear Paul Heyman say, "I know what he's doing. You need to get up." But CM Punk doesn't get up. So, like a great manager that Paul Heyman is, he gets up on the apron so that Taker can't jump over onto Punk. And this is when the match starts to change.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what good managers do. They interfere and they impact the match. And Taker goes to chokeslam Paul Heyman on the apron, but he turns around and CM Punk is there. He does a springboard clothesline to The Undertaker, and
jump scare clothesline. It's like, oh God, there he is. He just like the way they shot it, you couldn't see him until he hits. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, and they spill back out to the outside, and basically CM Punk hits the elbow, which is fantastic as always. The Randy Savage elbow.
I was just about to say, did you catch the gorgeous Randy Savage reference?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, this was still in the ring after the springboard clothesline. He does hit that Randy Savage elbow, and it's beautiful.
Like the best he's ever done it, because
It's the closest to Randy Savage as you can get.
Everyone always joked that he didn't do it very well. He did it perfectly right here. I think that was him going, I don't do this move well. Fuck you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump higher. I'm going to jump farther. I'm going to nail it. And he does. It's beautiful. We get a kick out. And once again, that was 2.5. You're half a second away from breaking the streak. You have the momentum. Stay at him.
This gets to the point where now, after he's hit this elbow, you think that's the signature move, right? Punk hits that elbow. This could really happen. And he gets Undertaker up for the go to sleep. But it's reversed into a beautiful choke slam from the Undertaker. Really, really good stuff. But now at this point, we've seen enough streak matches to know there ain't no way that's it. So, we get the CM Punk kick out, but the Undertaker starts to have momentum. And he starts to hit his classic moves.
Oh, yeah. He gets snake eyes. He's going for the big boot. But as he's going for the big boot, we get a flying heel kick. And he just cuts off immediately. And they even bring it up on commentary. Said, CM Punk, obviously, watching his Undertaker matches, he knew what was coming. He knew the big boot was coming, so he cut him off right there.
But it's telling a great story. It's telling a great story that CM Punk might actually be a step ahead of the game. He really is prepared for this match, and he really might pull this off.
I agree. I think CM Punk is a step ahead of Triple H all the time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then we get the scariest spot in the match.
And Quadruple H.
Well, we get the scariest spot in the match. Undertaker takes another heel kick to the face, is laying on the Spanish announce table. CM Punk goes to the top rope, does another beautiful diving elbow. This time,
wait, I'm so sorry. Paul. I am so sorry to interrupt you. You missed something hugely important.
I did?
Hugely important. The Undertaker is trying to set up CM Punk for a last ride onto the announce table. And when he lifts CM Punk into the air... Did you catch it?
Is that what I caught?
That's exactly what it was. And I paused, rewound, and listened to it again because I laughed so hard.
I'm so sorry we've done this to you.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to kind of let it go because I'm like, here we go, power up. Oh, no. Our streak ends. As CM Punk,
that's right.
Like he reverses the power bomb, which would have been to the announce table, catches a heel kick, climbs the top rope. And once again, he points those fingers in the air and does a diving elbow drop from the top rope to the Undertaker on the Spanish announce table and just bounces off like a tennis ball. And I'm thinking, oh, he's hurt.
Wait, so the powerbomb doesn't land?
No. Yeah. So Undertaker lifts him up for the powerbomb with the wonderful sound that he makes, and Punk kind of slides off the back of him, and he turns around and nails Taker with a beautiful kick.
Well, then we need to pause again for a moment of silence for the end of the powerbomb streak.
Yes.
In the arms of the angel.
I really thought that the Undertaker powerbomb noise was good enough to count as a powerbomb, but it's fine. It is the streak is over.
Well, and after this happens, they kind of go back into the ring. I'm sorry, Undertaker
at 9.5.
Oh, how did he like broke that count? I was convinced the match was over. And Heyman starts offering Punk the power of the urn.
Right.
He's just holding the urn up like,
because now it feels like we're nearing the end. Like CM Punk really has control of this match. He almost got the Undertaker counted out. So surely he just needs one more thing to seal the deal. And he goes over to get that one more thing, to pick Undertaker up, to maybe hit a go to sleep. You don't know what's about to happen. And Hell's Gates happened instead. Hell's Gate.
I just got to say one thing. Hold on a minute, player. The Hell's Gate submission has been banned. But Punk, obviously watching his Kurt Angle tapes, does a jackknife cover while still in the Hell's Gate.
Yep.
He tries. He tries.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he gets it. It takes him 2 attempts.
Yeah.
Remember, he severely injured his knee on that table.
Oh, that's the sell. That's the sell. Okay,
yeah.
good.
He's not selling.
We fixed it, guys. We fixed it.
He's shoot hurt.
But when he does the jackknife pin, Taker kicks out, but he being Punk, goes immediately into the Anaconda Vice, which for me, like, I never really feel like Undertaker's going to tap out.
No.
But Taker sits up, and it's a wonderful moment because he's almost nose to nose
The look
with CM Punk.
So
in his eyes when he sits up.
he sits up and he's still in the Anaconda Vice.
Yeah.
And he is just
It's such a good moment.
like his bright red, there's veins popping out of like his neck and his forehead. Like, oh my God, he's going to kill him.
Right.
And we get a choke. Oh, nope. Choke slam reversed in the GTS.
A GTS to the midsection, so
Yeah,
it
it doesn't
doesn't
quite
land,
catch.
which actually works a lot because it basically just pushes Undertaker to the ropes, who bounces back, and because he doesn't get hit with this full on knee to the face, he bounces back and hits a super fast, awesome.
I call it the
tombstone.
falling tombstone, but he hits it. Oh, there we go. That's it. And then 1, 2, kick out, and the crowd.
The crowd is split 50-50.
They are,
But when Punk gets at that tombstone, they're at a 10.
Yeah.
They are at a 10.
And
they
Michael
stay at a
Cole
10.
is yelling at us, surprise, surprise. And I thought that he's saying a miracle that he kicked out, a miracle, but I swore he was saying America.
America.
America, America, and I just didn't
Kick
quite
out,
understand
kick
it. But it's a miracle, apparently, that CM Punk kicked out of the tombstone, even though we have been trained at this point to know that one tombstone is not going to do it.
No.
But here we are. So one tombstone kicks out, and this is the point where both guys are really going to have to dig to really try to seal this deal, because it's happening.
I always love in a wrestling match, and this happens. And it happens a lot. More than I initially realized. The more I watch wrestling, the more I see it's a very common thing. But when you've hooked the crowd like that, you can pull this one off. They both stand up, even though the Undertaker's a foot taller than CM Punk, and they just start trading right hands, and you just buy it.
Boo! Yay!
Boo! And the Undertaker keeps throwing these right hands. Punk starts throwing elbows and headbutts. You're like, oh my God! Every time.
And it sends us to the super great end of that is when CM Punk bounces off the ropes. Undertaker, it's the classic, Undertaker's going to bend down as if he's going for a back body drop, but CM Punk kicks him.
He just stands
And
straight
he
up.
just stands straight
up and goes for a choke slam that Heyman masterfully blocks. And oh, here we go. And then CM Punk goes for that running knee in the corner. Last right attempt. Earned the back of the head.
Yeah, so during the attempt at a choke slam, Undertaker knocks Kyoto down. And so that opens up the opportunity for Paul Heyman to pass CM Punk the urn and hit the Undertaker right in the back of the head with the urn.
And you can just hear the crowd like, oh my God, that's it. That's going to be it. 1, 2, kick out. Ah!
So he goes for the pin by crossing the Undertaker's arms.
Gosh.
And I was
out.
like, I literally was thinking to myself when I saw this live, I was like, if that's the end of the streak, holy shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, you couldn't be more right. Could you imagine CM Punk after that? If he pins him with the rest in peace pin, as I like to think about it,
We wouldn't hear the end of it.
No.
But that was the longest 2 count, I think, in history.
Oh gosh, it was good.
It was
so
2
good.
and 99 hundredths.
Oh, so close.
The only bad part about it is that Cole says afterwards, "A resurrection at WrestleMania." That's his call when Taker kicks out. A resurrection at WrestleMania. It's just not.
But
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah, it's not
Punk
good.
gets up and he just goes
yeah, and anytime, I don't know why, no one's learned
arms
this.
out like, here we go. This is it.
Anytime you copy that Undertaker, like thumb across the throat,
It's a nail in the coffin.
that's it. Like you would like to lose this match next, please, because that's what happens.
Yes, I'll have a lose the match with a little side of get my ass kicked, please.
Yeah, if you could please hit me with a tombstone pile driver, that would be wonderful.
But I gotta say, this is actually a very impressive sequence because Punk is not a big guy, but he goes to the GTS, picks up Undertaker on his shoulders. Holy shit, he's gonna hit it. Undertaker reverses it into the tombstone. Here we go. Tombstone. Nope. It's reversed back into the GTS. Oh my God, that's it. CM Punk's got it. But no, Taker reverses it again. Tombstone. 1, 2, 3. Crowd comes fucking glued.
I loved the closing series here. CM Punk has an escape from the tombstone that I've never seen. And it makes so much sense, like physically, if you think about it. If you're in this position, what would you do to get out of it? A lot of times you see like the going backwards to do your own tombstone. I, in the real world, wouldn't think to do that. And probably wouldn't happen. What he does is he turns his hips sideways and does like a cartwheel to get out of it. And it's just like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
And then like one motion, he's got Undertaker up on his shoulders to the GTS. It's like, oh shit.
And there you have the Undertaker winning his final match.
21-0.
21-0, his final match where he stays undefeated in the streak. 21-0.
And, CM Punk popping up off after the tombstone look. It's like, boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was fun. The final match of the streak.
Man. It went out with a bang.
It really did. I mean, I know 28 was end of an era, but I feel like this was the true end of an era.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, and especially with what happens afterwards, it certainly feels that way.
Because, I mean, like I said, damn, this is a good match. And I honestly, I remember watching this live, and I forgot how good it was. When it was suggested to us, I'm like, really? I mean, I know it's good, but is it that good? And then we've watched this match a few times. Like, okay, yeah. But honestly, I feel like this match is the perfect storm. Because you've got a very bitter CM Punk that wants to prove that he belongs in that main event scene. And he's even said in multiple different forums that he had a death wish. He's like, all right, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to prove to you that I am as good as I say I am. I'm not an indie darling. I'm not an IWC, like ICW sweetheart. I am that good. And fuck me, he goes at that match with reckless abandonment. And the other side of that coin is you have an Undertaker who wants to prove that he still has it. So you have two guys with a chip on their shoulder. And they give us like their swan song.
Yeah, they go out in 22 minutes and 7 seconds and give us the match of the night.
Yeah,
It was 22 minutes?
It was.
It did not feel that long
22
at
minutes
all.
and 7 seconds. Yeah.
And this is the magnum opus for both of them because it's Punk's last WrestleMania, and it's the last match of the streak.
Wow.
So like it really is, and I love this match, and ranking it is going to be very difficult because I'm not going to be objective here.
What are our favorite moments, Spencer?
The entrances.
Yeah.
And
they're
that's
so good.
And I love the match itself, but my God. I mean, I think those entrances add just as much. I think they're just phenomenal.
I loved the sit up.
In the GTS.
In the Anaconda
I'm sorry,
Vice.
the Anaconda.
In the Anaconda Vice. He still got it on. He just sits up. It's such an Undertaker moment, but it's a modern era Undertaker moment, and it was just a really great moment for me.
Yeah.
Is the setup, the entrances, which just, if you don't know who either of these men are, you know everything you need to by watching them walk to the ring. And it just, Heyman shouting encouragement. That was 2 seconds. You're 1 second away. That was 2.5 seconds. You're half a second away from ending the streak. You have the momentum.
Heyman is so good as a
He
manager.
really is.
One of the very best. I mean, when I think of the top managers of all time, I think Heenan and Heyman, ultimately. And maybe there's a last manager standing at some point down the line. But,
yeah.
But I mean, how could you argue about how good Heyman is?
And just that freaking crowd was so good that they just made this match like that much better. It's the perfect storm. It really is.
How are we going to rank this?
Not objectively, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, yeah, it has to be objective, doesn't it? I mean, that's the whole point. If you look at our list right now, we have 18 matches. The most recent one that we ranked was, of course, the Unbreakable Triple Threat match, AJ, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe. We ranked it at number 8, right underneath Trish Stratus and Lita. But this is the second to last match of season 1, and it gets tougher every single time, which is why I'm not going to go first.
See, I don't think that's fair.
What?
When's the last time you've gone first?
It's just, every time?
Never.
What?
Never. I think Spencer
I'll
goes
go
first this
That's
time.
fine. Okay. Here we go.
See, that's what you do. That's what you do. You let us go first so you can come in and try and sway us away from where we end up. It happens every time.
Well, I don't like to set the bar, all right? I just don't like to set it. I would much rather try to move it once it's been set.
Spencer, you don't set the bar.
I am
You
the
are
bar.
the bar.
I don't want to be the bar. Oh, gosh. Okay.
We should buy a bar.
What are we going to call it, though?
Let's call it Last Match Stand.
We could do date night, speed dating.
Last brew standing.
Yeah. I mean,
Last person who drinks here is free.
Last patron standing?
last drunk standing.
Yeah,
There we
if we get enough patrons, we'll open a bar.
What money goal will we put that at?
10.
There could be. Think about all the fun drink special names we could have. That'd be pretty good.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ploshy Joshy on the rocks.
The
Steaming ham.
champ.
That'll be like if you can finish this in under like an hour food challenge. We'll call this.
We'll have a drink called the Villain, but it'll cost $300.
All right, Landon, I thought you just said you were going to go first. After you.
Okay, I'll go first if it makes it easier for you.
No, I'll totally go first. I just thought that it was a wonderful distraction that I thought I got away with it. I'll go first. So,
Weasel.
when I think about, typically what I've been doing is asking myself if it belongs in the top 10. That's kind of my starting point for a conversation. But I think it's actually a little more fair to kind of go your route, Landon, and compare it to whatever it's closest to it. And because of that, I feel like I have to look at Kurt Angle Undertaker. And for me, Kurt Angle Undertaker is a better wrestling match. I love this match a lot, but I told you my favorite part was the entrances.
Yes.
Because I think that the story around this match, and we love story. I mean, look at what our number one is, right? The story around this match, the build, the characters, that is what makes it so great to me. And the wrestling match itself is very, very, very good. But as far as a wrestling match and what I think of as the greatest of all time, I would put it underneath Angle and Taker. So then I have to look, further down the list. I'm not going to put it ahead of the Rumble because it's the greatest Royal Rumble of all time, arguably. But I'm kind of stuck there, sort of at 13, maybe a little bit above Awesome and Tanaka. I think that's where I'll stick. For me, I'm going to put 13, right below Royal Rumble 92 and right above Awesome and Tanaka.
Okay. Landon?
I actually, I think it's fair to cite Angle and Taker as the most close thing because, it's a Taker match. Angle and Taker far surpasses the performance in this match, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of this match when I think of what are the greatest wrestling matches of all time. This is not one that comes to mind. And so whenever we were suggested it over and over again, I was just like, okay, let's take a look. And I'm glad that we were able to review it. But for me, I don't think we've covered anything that wasn't better.
Including TLC.
So, okay, I'm going to drop down to Angle McMahon because I know that I think Cactus Jack versus Triple H, which is currently at number 16, is a better match. I know that in my heart. It was a better match. It was better thought out. Maybe the stakes weren't as high, but I felt like I would watch that match before I would rewatch this one. Angle McMahon had some really fun spots, but maybe it didn't mean as much.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the Angle McMahon, the story behind the match was more interesting than the match itself.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that kind of what's happening here?
Yeah, Angle McMahon is like an OMG moment, and whereas this is a important moment in wrestling history where something changes.
Yeah.
Well, I think so.
I think I would put it probably at number 16 above Angle McMahon.
Okay.
So above Angle McMahon, but underneath Cactus Jack and Triple H.
Yeah. Paul?
Yeah.
I'm so happy I went last.
Well, I'm really curious. Before hearing our opinions, were you really going to be super high?
Yeah. I really was, and that's why I said I'm not gonna be able to be objective here.
What would you have done? Like if you would have gone first, what would you have done?
Well, when you ask, what does this feel the most like? I said, well, this will be number 19 of the 19 matches we've done. We want to think about how personal some of these rivalries have been. I mean, it's one of like the three. Like, oh shit! Like this is personal. Like these men hate each other. You almost forget you're watching a show. But the number one match being like by far the most personal storybook rival. I mean,
Oh, definitely. One of the most personal of all time.
yeah, I mean, like that match ended with a man like being hit in the back of the head with a sledgehammer, and you're like, holy shit, is he going to be okay? This one doesn't end that way. When this one ends, you're like, okay, we're moving on. Mm-hmm. But the build was just so like, ooh, like, can you do that? So I wouldn't put it top 5. The next question was the initial top 10 question. My initial gut reaction was to actually put it right above Angle and Taker.
At number 10.
I guess it would
I'm
be
sorry,
number 11.
yeah.
Excuse me. At number 11. That was my initial gut reaction.
So
And it hasn't really changed either.
okay. So then you're at 11. So Paul's 11. I'm 13. Landon's 16. As the middleman, I'm a little more inclined to lean towards Landon. I would feel safer about moving it further down the list and putting it closer to 16. Because for the same reasons that you said, Landon, I think that is an important match for a lot of different reasons, and we talked about those at length. I think it's a good match. It's one of the top half matches of the streak. I think it's a really good match. But I also don't think if I was basing my thought process off of just the wrestling match itself, if I took away the entrances, it's not going to be up there for me. Now, all of that stuff adds into it, right? And I think that's part of wrestling, because you get that extra stuff. It's not quite like MMA or whatever, or boxing, where it's the fight and that's it. You get the story and you get the build, and I mean that's why sports entertainment, whatever. But so I don't think it's fair to discount all of that stuff as well. But ultimately, I'm okay with pushing down to 16. Paul,
After the reason why I stopped talking when I said gut reaction was because I didn't want to concede. But for me to say here, this match is nowhere near as personal as Cactus Jack and Triple H, like I cannot say that without doing a silly voice, because
That match is very personal.
it's so personal. Like that, the implications of that match are, Mick, you're fired, and then like they pushed him so far that he went back to being Cactus Jack. And that is so much brutality. And they have another match, which also might end up on our list, or may end up on our close calls. But that's another story for another day, because that was like, I think my biggest problem with this match is that's it.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I am too. I mean, we had a little bit of build up, but the build up was, as good as it was because we needed an Undertaker match.
Yeah.
So what are really the implications coming out of this? Oh, well, guess what? Taker loses the next year. We don't see him for a year, and then he loses. And then CM Punk is on this downward spiral until he eventually just gets frustrated and leaves. So it just doesn't do a whole lot for me.
yeah, and it's similar, kind of like the one-off to Angle and Taker, because that was a bridge to get us to WrestleMania
Pretty
at the
much,
time.
yeah.
Even just regardless of what maybe it was supposed to be or whatever, that's what it ended up being. So I think you're right. I think it is a one-off, and I think it's a great match, and I think it's two great characters, and boy, am I glad that it happened. But it doesn't stand the test of time like some of these other matches that we have on this list already.
Sure.
So, Paul, are you okay with pushing it to 16?
Yeah.
Or are you going to fight for it? Okay.
No, I'm going to fight for it.
All right, so there you have it. Out of 19 matches so far, CM Punk and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 29 hits number 16 on our list of the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time.
It would be 17 right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
What-
That's
what-
what I said. It's
what- well,
yeah.
well,
No,
no,
you're
wait.
absolutely
Am I looking?
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Because
Yeah.
Angle and McMahon would get knocked down to 17 and TLC would get knocked down. I'm sorry, 18 and then TLC would get knocked down to 19.
Well,
It is our 19th episode.
it is
ladies
our
and
19th
gentlemen.
episode. So if we're putting it right underneath Cactus Jack and Triple H, then that would mean that it is match number 17.
Yeah.
On the list out of 19. Yes, that's totally our bad. But yeah, number 17 on our list out of 19 so far. Good on us. Yeah, there it is. We have one last match for season 1 of Last Match Standing. And we want to say thank you so much for riding along with us so far through season 1. We're excited to finish off with you next week. Feel free to rate and review us on Apple Podcast or wherever you're listening to podcast. We'd love any feedback you have for us, whether it's email, on Twitter, or whatever you have for us. Also, if you want to join our Patreon page and become a Slammy Award winner or any of our other 3 tiers, we would love to interact with you in that way and get you some bonus content, because there's some really, really cool, fun stuff coming up. But match number 20 is coming up next week for you. We can't wait to bring it to you. Until then, I'm Spencer.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Landon.
And this is Last Match Standing.